Hi, I'm Shantae. I began going to Concordia in 2023 of September. I was studying a Master's of Education program in Trauma and Resiliency. My first semester I completed online where I earned notable grades. I do believe I earned 2 A's or maybe a B, which I'll file complaint with since I deserve an A. The school is far less than the caliber of schools that I otherwise applied to. But to the discretion that I'm still allowed to apply there is not an application that I should have to explain, nor a dissemination to otherwise discriminate against me in terms of grade and curvature, whereas the same work produced at schools that I usually apply to at a higher caliber and credential educational increment, requisite repository otherwise, would such be the grading scale that the Concordia University of far lower grading criteria would be admonishing against why it is they discriminated against me and not given me exceeding praise for my work, which would on a higher grading scale also still be receiving higher praise, which I can show forth. Meaning they discriminated against me at a less criteria difficult institution on the same purview and grading scale that a higher institution would, where I would have received an A, and like I said, I could persuade that as well. The second thing is such. The first semester was completed as such, where I provided my work adequately and received great performance review for said work, as the caliber is lower than me anyway. The second semester, I moved on to the campus, where in which I was living with a group of about 5 women who began to ask me if I liked them. Now, the age barometer and otherwise my lack of interest in their age category in terms of emotional maturity, academic maturity, which most of the students fall into the category given that the school is of far less caliber than what I'm originally performing within, is that I didn't define the question to be of interest and I ignored the question. They decided to harass me regarding making false complaints about my performance, my wall decor, not necessarily my dress, but the inability to interact with me. I noted to them, I'm a graduate student as opposed to you who are not a graduate student. I have other things in my life right now, so I really just come and go. And I explained to them clearly, which I owed them nothing more. I was continuously harassed by them and the residence department as them making a false claim about me, to which when I asked the dean about, or the representative about directly, she told me I can't tell you that. So she's interviewing me upon assertions and not even telling me the claim, which is illegal. She then continued to allow them to discriminate and harass me via ostracizing me in the room, making fun of me, even so much as when I corrected one of them threatening to assault one of our other roommates, they filed complaints against me for that, stating that I was favoring one of the roommates who may have had a flirting relationship or a sexual appeal towards me otherwise. When at general, it would be against law and against our roommate confidentiality and safety for all 5 members living there to watch 2 of them or one of them become assaulted by the other, which she also expressed sadness and grievance towards via crying and feeling ostracized, which I tried to empathize and just use human empathy to support, via making the critique of, maybe threatening to punch our roommate over dishes is not the most viable thing. The dean began to harass me in the context of wanting to also know if I had flirtatious interest in herself, Kathy Gebhardt, which I don't, and would also find lucratively inappropriate. And so the semester became that of ostracization and constant harassment, to the ending of me having to have meetings, interviews where they didn't allow me proper information or investigation, to the degree of which I was asked in a previous context around the matter what exactly was happening. The second thing is that I noted that the stress that I was having in terms of economics, which I was being discriminated against by the school, as every job that I applied to, I was denied from. So I was facing economic discrimination and harassment at the same time. These are 2 weighing stressors that can prevent someone from completing the semester, at contingency that the harassment that I was facing from my roommates made it such that I was trying to find new housing, and thus was being harassed by the residence director who aided the girls in harassing me, to where it almost put me on the brink of homelessness during the semester, as my on-campus residence was all that I had. And so the stress of homelessness, being harassed, having a false investigation, and being sexually harassed by the dean, Kathy Gephardt, in the meetings, as well as other staff in the school saying callous things to me, such as, maybe you can go meet with Kathy because that's your point person. And I'm thinking, Kathy's the dean of graduate affairs, who my 18 to 20-year-old roommates can't get off their tongue, Shantae, do you like me? Which is not a pervious question. Or not even, Shantae, do you like me? But, Shantae, I want to get to know you better. Or whatever it is that they have lucrative time for, which I did not have lucrative time for. So to, one, bring to me an assertion which I don't have time for, and to make it contingent on my economic stability, is a stressor and an offense in and of itself. Which is the reason why, reasonably, ensuring that I could eat, work, sustain myself will be the first paramount means of stability, that which was being toyed with at the position of Kathy saying things to me like, I can't give you that answer. You can't give me the answer to the assertion by in which the residence director berated my room. And then she tells me in a coddling voice, Elise, the resident director, sorry, I made a mistake. How do you make a mistake? By harassing someone continually. So these stressors extended themselves in the one semester that I lived on the campus in the room due to the nature of circumstances which I just identified, which all of which would be at fault of the school. That being, I earned below I believe it was a B in that one course that semester, or the incremental semester otherwise, at which I had noted to my professor, hey, I'm being harassed by my roommates. They're much younger than me. They're being kind of immature and aggressive. And I'm also being discriminated against economically, which are two strategies to be harassed and ostracized to the point of your stability being threatened. And to have no funding per discrimination, 20 plus jobs I applied for, to subdue otherwise any affect that could happen is the reasonable amount of stress. That's like me draining someone's bank account at no end, and then answering them not why it is their account was drained, and expecting them to function probably, which is uninformed, unviable, inappropriate, and unreasonable for a person to be able to perform at their highest, most focused level in a classroom at the stability of not knowing if they have a place to sleep. I notified this professor, and he was egregious and callous as to not take any empathy with me, so to speak, thus then reprimanding me in the context of still putting forth a negative grade, which I can outperform them at any point in time, given the caliber of this school compared to the institutions that I've studied at prior. And using it against me to state that I don't qualify to enroll further. And then never once responding to me about the case of sexual harassment, which was performed for ongoing 3 months during the semester in which this happened, which I even articulated to my professor about.